Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. Well, it's almost the end of 2024, and you coast, and you know what that means. A lot of roundup lists and all of those kind of things that are coming out there. And one of those has officially come out is the Steam top sellers chart. And boys and girls, it will probably absolutely shock you and blow you away at what some of the top sellers are out there, because we've got the likes of Hogwarts Legacy and Cyberpunk 2077. Yes, a 4-year-old game absolutely crushing some of the highest levels of the charts out there, and it just shows you probably the state of the current modern AAA video game industry out there. Well, of course, one of those AAA studio games that came out this year that decidedly and undoubtedly flopped miserably was none other than the woke disastrous dumpster fire, the trans allegory nonsense for a creative out there literally working through his own mental issues, Dragon Age Veilguard, boys and girls. And needless to say, this thing has been stomped into a mud hole when it comes to Steam's top seller lists out there, boys and girls. And if this doesn't absolutely cement the fact that this game was an abysmal flop and a failure and cost that company hundreds of millions of dollars, well, boys and girls, if you don't believe that, then I've definitely got some wonderful, wonderful beachfront property out there in Arizona to sell you, because this is a disastrous dumpster fire, ladies and gentlemen. Because as you can see over here from fandompulse.substack and our dear sweet John F. Trent, Dragon Age The Veilguard in bottom half of Steam's top sellers charts in 2024. Got beat by Hogwarts Legacy, Elder Scrolls Online, and Final Fantasy 14, and so many more, boys and girls. And I know it's always like, I feel like I'm going to be done with Dragon Age Veilguard. I feel like I'm going to finally be over this. But boys and girls, roasting this game just makes all of the right people out there angry. It upsets all of those little weirdos out there with pronouns on their bio. And for that alone, boys and girls, all the hate that I get on the videos, all these ratios that I get, all the angry comments I get on these videos is worth every single second of suffering, of all of us suffering through talking about Dragon Age The Veilguard once again. And ladies and gentlemen, that's exactly what we're going to do right here. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing, and I could not do that without every single one of you. We are inching our way closer and closer to 800 subscribers over here on the gaming channel, and please, by all means, if you haven't already, please contribute to that. We'd love to see that happen before the end of the year. Also, if you'd like to support the channel, please check out the links in the description as well. Also, if you'd like, what do you think about all of this? Does it surprise you at all that Dragon Age Veilguard is in the bottom half of Steam's top seller list? Does it surprise you that games much older than a lot of the stuff that has come out this year is topping the charts out there? What are some of your top games that you enjoyed playing throughout 2024? Let us know what you think about all that in the comment section down below. All right, from Fandom Pulse and our dear sweet John F. Trent. Steam released their best of 2024 charts, and it reveals that Hogwarts Legacy, among 50 other titles, sold better than Dragon Age Veilguard. And remember, this is Hogwarts Legacy, which has had no DLC content, no major updates, nothing like that out there, and it literally was the #1 selling game in 2023. So this game is over a year old and is still among the top 50 sellers of Steam overall. That just shows you how good of a game that was, and how much the little woke psychopathic crowds trying to actually go out there and boycott the game failed miserably. It's a glorious success story that we absolutely love to talk about. In Steam's best of 2024 charts, the company organized games based on total gross revenue earned from January 1st, 2024 to December 15th, 2025. It also separates the games into 4 different buckets: Platinum, 1 through 12, Gold, 13 through 24, Silver, 25 through 50, and Bronze, 51 to 100. So basically bottom of the barrel of top sellers. Inside these buckets, games are randomly sorted. So we don't actually know what the #1 game is, or what the number number 100 game is. We just know that they group them in there, and then they kind of mix them all up, which is fair, I guess. I don't want to give too much critical data out of there. Whatever, I don't care. Either way, they give us enough of a ranking system to at least roast Dragon Age Veilguard, and for that, I am thankful. Dragon Age The Veilguard was placed in Steam's bronze bucket, meaning that at very least 50 other games sold better. That including Power World, that little indie out there, the Pokemon with guns game, Destiny 2, which I'm pretty sure has been out for a while as well, Elden Ring, which has been out for several years. What is that one, about 3 or 4 years old now too, as well? Although they did have the DLC and all that kind of stuff, that, Shadow of the Erd Tree come out and all that kind of stuff. Helldivers 2, which once again, not a AAA studio game out there, and has been a massive, huge success. And why? They listen to their fan base and they actually react and give players what they want. I know, crazy concept. Black Myth Wukong, which I didn't even realize was on Steam already, but apparently that one actually has sold gangbusters, because that's another one of those games I actually want to play. Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Baldur's Gate 3, Dota 2, Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2, which, oh yes, absolutely loved that game. Was an absolute blast. One of the highest rated. Actually, it was the most played game of any of the Warhammer video games ever on Steam. That game absolutely crushed it. It's so much fun. I can't wait for the next few updates and next few seasons to get back into that one. Apex Legends, no shocker there. Counter-Strike 2, PUBG Battlegrounds, all which were in the platinum bucket. So every one of these games out there smashed it into absolute oblivion out there, boys and girls. Other games that had higher grosses than Dragon Age The Veilguard include Warframe, The First Descendant, Cyberpunk 2077, boys and girls, a 4-year-old game. I had to look it up when I started playing it because I just started playing it over the weekend last week because one of my wonderful subscribers out there, shout out to Spartacus, gifted me the game out there on Steam, and I absolutely love it because that was a game I was super excited for. But that game is 4 years old, and yeah, they had the Phantom of Liberty DLC, but wasn't that last year, boys and girls? Literally, a 4-year-old game is beating Dragon Age The Veilguard. Path of Exile, Dragon Ball Sparkling Zero, which of course a lot of fans absolutely loved, Throne and Liberty, which given I believe is a free-to-play game, we're all in the gold bucket. The silver bucket, still above Dragon Age The Veilguard, included Granblue Fantasy, Relink, Dragon's Dogma 2, Rainbow Six Siege, Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, Red Dead Redemption 2. Do we need to even talk about how old that game is, boys and girls? Hogwarts Legacy, that game's over a year old, 2023, and #1 game seller of the year. Manor Lords, Tekken 8, Fallout 76, how old is that game at this point? Final Fantasy 14, The Elder Scrolls Online, how long's that been out? Grand Theft Auto 5, doesn't really surprise me, and others. I mean, this is just an absolute abysmal failure. This is nothing more than complete and total embarrassment for Dragon Age The Veilguard, and of course, they absolutely deserve it. Given the randomization of the rankings within the buckets, it's quite possible that Monster Hunter Wilds, which does not release until the end of February, had more revenue than Dragon Age The Veilguard, given it's in the same bronze bucket. Mind you, that's pre-orders. The pre-orders got it in the same bucket as a game that is already released. Other games in the bronze bucket include Metaphor Refans of Zero, Hades 2 Crusader, Kings 3 Street Fighter 6, Overwatch 2, No Man's Sky, Farming Simulator 25, which we already talked about the fact that that game absolutely crushed it and destroyed the numbers on Dragon Age Veilguard. How many videos did we make over that kind of stuff going on out there? Stelios, Euro Truck Simulator 2, and Civilization 6, boys and girls. That is absolutely pathetic. It's not even close. And it's one of them situations where why? We know why Dragon Age The Veilguard failed. It's pretty obvious. It's all the pronoun nonsense. It's the forced diversity inclusion. It's one of your main protagonists identifies as trans, which why in a fantasy series in any way, shape, or form, any of that makes sense. I mean, seriously, you've got magic. If you really wanted to switch your genders, don't you think there'd just be a magical spell or a magical potion that you could take? Why would you have to be trans? Why would you have to identify as non-binary? It literally makes no sense anymore until you look at the fact that the guy behind it, and yes, I do say guy, the guy behind it, designing that game was literally going through his own mental breakdown and was going through his own mental crisis and used Dragon Age Veilguard as a way to express that insanity. It's absolutely horrendous. It's absolutely abysmal. The game was an absolute dumpster fire and it failed miserably. And this is just one more prime example, one more evidence in the fact that this game was a disastrous dumpster fire. And all the little naysayers, all your little woke acolytes of the cult out there, all you little crybabies who love you having your pronouns in your bio and all your trans nonsense, well, guess what? It doesn't sell with a general audience and it never has. You are not the new modern audience. You are not the next wave of gamers. You are nothing more than what you have always been. A bunch of little weirdo freaks out there with mental delusions and illness that be treated by a proper and sane common sense psychiatrist or psychologist that can help you work through your issues. Because guess what? Using hundreds of millions of dollars of a video game development company's money to work out your own personal issues to then only to have yourself and all of your issues completely and totally rejected by the world is not an appropriate management use of resources. And guess what? It's not going to go forward because we have seen what's happened every time one of these woke game flops. These studios collapse, these studios close, and hundreds of people end up getting laid off. And it's all because one insane man decided to completely and totally devastate and nuke one of the most legendary franchises of all time. And guess what? The company behind this, you hired these freaks, you hired these psychopaths. So guess what? You got exactly what what you deserve. You destroyed the Dragon Age franchise, not the gamers. You hired woke psychopaths that cared more about their agenda than giving us good quality gameplay or an engaging story. You chose those people, and now you are suffering the consequences of your actions. After all, you dance with the devil, you are bound to get burned. And Dragon Age Veilguard has burned down to the ground.